Hey guys, it's Oージマン, and today we're going to be doing the next part of the series of theオージマンMasterclass series, and in this episode, I want to focus mainly on goal setting and motivation when learning Japanese through immersion learning and the methods that I teach in these videos. One of the most common questions I get whenever I release a new video or on my Discord or whenever is like, I'm not motivated, I don't feel like enthusiastic to learn Japanese anymore. What do I do? Like, how can I motivate myself more to learn Japanese? And I'm hoping that through this video, I can put out a message to all those kinds of people worried about how to be more motivated to learn Japanese and how to, encourage yourself to put in the hours that you need to learn Japanese in a relatively short amount of time. So let's get into it first. I want to talk about first setting realistic goals. So the thing is, when you're going to make goals in Japanese, you can't have some crazy goal like, I want to do in 1 year, I just want to be fluent in the entire language, want to know absolutely everything, be able to watch any YouTuber, understand them, talk to people, whatever. If you want to do that in 1 year, you're going to have to be putting in the same amount of work that would require. So if you're doing 2 hours a day, right, and you expect to get that fluent within 1 year, you really need to reassess what you're doing. You need to be working all day, every day if you want to be that good in 1 year. Whereas if you, do it you want to get to my level in 4 years, which is how long I've been doing it for, it's okay, that's a bit more realistic. You can put a bit less time in and you'll still be able to get there. It's not some insanely unachievable goal, and you won't be disappointed when you don't reach the goals that you've set yourself. Because if you go and start setting these super unrealistic, crazy goals, it's good to think big and, set big goals for yourself. But if they're completely unrealistic, there's no chance you're going to achieve it. And you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed in your failure. You know what I mean? There's a difference between a difficult goal and an impossible goal, if you get what I mean. For example, an example of an impossible goal would be get perfect pitch accent and pronunciation in 60 days. That's just impossible. Anyone that says you can do that is just lying to you. Yeah, okay, if anyone can do it, if anyone does do it, come and show me, please, because I'd love to see that, because I don't think anyone's ever done something like that before, and I think it is impossible. Unless, someday we get the Neuralink device, you stick something in your head from some machine in your brain that allows you to acquire language quicker, then maybe it'll be possible. But for now, you can't do that. So if you say, I'm going to get perfect pitch accent in 60 days, you're just setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. Whereas if you say, okay, 6 months from now, I want to be speaking and outputting and speaking pretty well, having conversations with people and understanding a significant amount of YouTube. That's completely realistic. It'll be difficult. 6 months, that's pretty quick to get from nothing to relatively fluent, basic fluency in the language. That's still a big goal, but it's not impossible. And you're not setting yourself up to 100% fail. If you're still able to put in a certain amount of effort and get to that goal. So that's an example of a realistic goal. Then not only this, you want to have little goals along the way. So if, say your big goal is, I want to work in Japan and live in Japan forever. So I want to be close to the native level as I possibly can be. If that's the case, you can't just go from there to that. There has to be some sort of little goals along the way so that you don't lose motivation, in yourself. So if you're just aiming for that, that's going to take forever. That's going to take 10 years or something to get to that level. But if you set little goals along the way, you're still getting that feedback of, achieving something that's going to push you to keep going and motivate you to keep doing more and more and more. So say you might set a macro, a tiny little goal and say, okay, in 6 months, I want to be able to understand a significant amount of YouTube. And like I said, the last thing I just said, where you can understand a significant amount of YouTube and as well you can talk to people. Then you get to that and you're like, wow, I've done it. That was a good goal, difficult goal, and I achieved it. On to the next thing. The next thing, I want to have almost perfect ability to talk to people in conversations. I don't mean pronunciation. I mean communication-wise, really good ability to talk to people one-on-one or in a group. And then you can achieve that, and that motivates you to keep going and go to your next goal. So I think it's really important to have those little goals leading up to your final big goal that motivate you to get to that in the end. For me, I didn't just get to this level randomly. I had little goals along the way, whether that be, okay, I want to get to 1K Anki words, 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K, whatever, whether it be that, or, I might be something else I want to get good enough so that when I go to Japan next year, I'll be able to communicate with people and make friends and all of that, or something like that, I set little goals for myself like that over time, and that's how I got to the level I'm at now. I didn't just randomly, somehow get here. You've got to have goals, because without goals, you've got no direction. So that's the kind of thing I want to talk about now. Without a goal, you're just aimlessly wandering, doing random shit. You get what I mean? I'm not a big fan of the JLPT or anything like that, but at least you have a goal to work towards. You need to have some sort of a goal when you're doing something that isn't just as abstract as, I want to get good. I want to be able to speak Japanese. You got to have some sort of goal to work towards that's going to, lead you in the right direction. You might achieve it, or you might get close to achieving it and be like, nah, that wasn't a good goal. I want to change it. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a correct goal or, the best goal. All you want to do is give yourself a bit of direction, so you're at least moving in the right direction, not just like willy-nilly all over the place. You got to have some sense of direction to be moving in, Anyway, that's enough on goals. Like, goals is like a little thing, that's almost common sense, everything I just said there. I'm sure many of you will watch that and be like, no shit, like, why are you even saying this? But people ask me this stuff, so that's why I say it. But that's the basic stuff on goals. But the next thing, moving into motivation, because this is a huge thing I always get asked, like, how do you stay motivated? How did you do this for 4 years and stay motivated? I didn't. Of course you don't stay motivated constantly. It's ridiculous to think you can stay motivated and use that to drive you towards your goal. It's this whole thing of, motivation versus discipline. Someone without discipline is going to get nowhere in life. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't have to be language learning. It could be sport. It could be university, your job. If you don't have discipline, what are you? You're nothing without discipline. No one is anything without discipline. You have to be disciplined in whatever it is you do if you want to get good results and succeed in what you're doing. So you can't be overly reliant on motivation to do anything, especially in not learn a language, because it's such a long process. Yeah, maybe you might be motivated to do, a race for one day. Do you get what I mean? Like, on that one day to do a race, that's one day. You just have to be motivated one time. But if you want to be running every single day in the morning for a whole year, that's a different story. You're doing something consistently, every single day or something like that. No longer can you rely on motivation. You need to be disciplined to do that. It's the same thing with language learning. You can't be motivated every day to add like 50, 20 words, whatever on Anki and immerse for hours every single day. How could anyone be motivated to do that for years? Like, that's craziness. You can't do that. I mean, unless you're like some genetic outlier that's like that positive and happy and motivated all the time. But I don't think there's many people like that. You need to have discipline. Without discipline, you can't do anything. You need to be disciplined enough to force yourself to do these things when you don't want to do it. So say you don't want to do your Anki, you don't want to immerse today. Just do it anyway. Just shut up and just do it. That's the secret. The secret is there is no secret. You just have to do it. Just stop complaining about it and just do it. And then it'll be done. Once you've done it, you'll get the results. There's no way to motivate yourself or like increase motivation. I suppose there's little things that like help you to be disciplined, but you can't be relying on motivation to succeed in learning Japanese or any language, because it's not going to hold, and there's no way you can preserve motivation for long periods of time without it dipping or anything. And if you're overly relying on motivation, when it does dip, everything you're doing will go away. You won't be doing anything, you won't be immersing, whatever, so you won't get the results you want. You have to be disciplined enough to do it even when the motivation isn't there. Even if it is something that you enjoy. Because even if you enjoy it, the motivation is not always going to be there. Then it starts to be like, are you doing this for a hobby or something you enjoy? Or are you doing it because you want to get good in a relatively short amount of time? Because depending on what your answer is to that, that's going to change a lot of how you approach this entire thing. If it's a hobby, you're just doing this for fun, you're just enjoying it, it's fine to rely on motivation because you're doing it for enjoyment, not for any particular purpose. Up until very recently, in the last few months, that's what I did with Slovak. I was learning Slovak, but it really was a hobby. So when I was motivated, I did it. And when I wasn't motivated, I didn't try and force myself to do it. I just didn't do it because it's a hobby. But now I'm taking it seriously and I'm doing it because I want to be good at it. No longer do I worry about, do I enjoy it? Am I motivated or anything like that? Now it just becomes, okay, here's my end goal. I want to get to be able to speak with my family in Slovak. I don't care about the level of my speaking. I just want to be able to do it. And I want to be able to understand everything they say and understand like music and TV and like YouTubers and that. Those are my goals. What do I have to do to get to those goals? That's what I ask myself. And I say, okay, well, I need to have this many Anki cards. I need to immerse this much every day. Do you think I enjoy doing that every single day? Some days it's great. I wake up motivated. I can't wait to do it. The other days I fucking hate it. I question why I'm even doing it in the first place. But because I have that end goal that I really do want to get to, I just have to be disciplined enough to shut up and just put in the work and do it, even though I don't enjoy it. And that's just the reality of it. You can't be enjoying it all the time if you want to get good results. You can't just rely on motivation. You have to be disciplined enough to be doing things even when you don't enjoy it, if there's a goal that you want to reach in the end in a certain amount of time. But this video isn't directed towards, hobbyists or people that are doing this just for a bit of fun. Because if you're doing it for just a bit of fun, why are you even worried about taking days off or anything like that? The only time you should be worried about, taking days off or pressuring yourself to do more is when you have a set goal that you want to get to, and it is required that you do something to get to that goal. This all being said though, yeah, about discipline and everything like that, there's some things, of course, you can do to increase your discipline. One of the most basic things is just keep pushing yourself to do more every single day. So you don't necessarily need to start with a huge load. You don't need to be like, okay, I'm going to do 50 Anki cards a day. I'm going to listen for 5 hours. That doesn't necessarily, yeah, you've got to be disciplined to do that every day, but you don't have to necessarily start with that. Start with less, start with 2 Anki cards a day and 50 minutes or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever of immersion. And every day or every week, incrementally build that up and push yourself to do more and more and more. And that'll make you more disciplined. Maybe, some people watching this aren't so disciplined. They've never done anything yet in their life that they have to be super disciplined to do. If that's the case, what a perfect opportunity. Learning a language is a difficult thing. You have to be disciplined. Learn the discipline through this. Start pushing yourself to do more and more every day. And through that, you will learn to become disciplined. And all of a sudden, you won't just be doing 20 minutes of immersion, adding 5 cards. You could maybe add 50 cards and do, 3-4 hours of immersion and be absolutely fine and feel like it's nothing because you've just built up the discipline. That's obviously the most basic way. Otherwise, one of the biggest things, and I feel like I've never really addressed this too much in any of my videos, but one thing that's so overlooked by pretty much everyone on YouTube talking about language learning and all of that, is the real, the impact that your physical health has on your ability to learn languages or do anything and be motivated, be disciplined. Your physical health is going to dictate whether or not you can be disciplined. Honestly, you see people say they've got clinical depression, or they got they don't sleep, they don't eat right, they don't exercise. So anything like that, it's going to affect your discipline. It doesn't matter how much you tell them, oh, be disciplined, do whatever. I mean, they can push themselves, but it's just not going to be as efficient as it would be if those things weren't there, stopping them from being disciplined. So the biggest way that you can increase your discipline straight away is, work on your physical health as well. You got to be healthy. So for instance, the biggest one, sleep, obviously. If you're staying up all night, like I've done in the past, and it wasn't a good idea, and I regret doing it really, staying up all night to immerse more and learn Anki cards at the cost of not sleeping as much, it's just, you couldn't be robbing yourself more than not sleeping, at least 8 hours a day. I think it's if you get under 6 or something, your memory is severely impacted. And there's all different, benefits you get from increasing your sleep, whether that be improved concentration, better mental health, plenty of other things. You'll be more disciplined, more motivated. You'll remember things easier, all just from increasing the amount you sleep. And also, of course, increasing the quality of your sleep. So not drinking caffeine before bed or not doing anything like that. Not using your phone straight up until you go to sleep, having good quality sleep and decent amount of it will improve your ability to learn languages amazingly. Not because it's going to be easy to remember things, but because like I said, you'll be more disciplined, more motivated, more everything. It's just going to be so much easier. Not only sleep then, but also talking about, say, nutrition. Do you think you're going to be very motivated to do fucking anything if you're sitting on your couch eating Cheetos all day? Or eating, you're having chips all day or doing whatever? You're not going to be motivated to do nothing at that point. You don't need to eat like a bloody athlete or something, but just eat relatively healthy. You're not eating, a bunch of fatty foods and eating like shit. As long as you're eating relatively healthy, whole foods and all that, fruits and vegetables, and good meats and all of that, as long as you're doing that, that's going to improve your ability to, learn languages through, again, motivation, concentration, or, even memory itself, a huge amount, because your body's just going to be functioning at such a higher level if it has the food that it needs. You'll especially feel this if you've been eating like shit your whole life or, recently, and you change to a healthy diet. You'll not believe how much of a difference it makes even to language learning. Even from my own experience, the first year I did language learning, I sacrificed absolutely everything to try and do Japanese. So whether that be, I was in year 12, so in high school, whether that be study for school, social life, whatever, nutrition, anything like this. I didn't sleep properly. I didn't eat properly. Didn't exercise. My physical health went to shit. I had a lot of health problems that year. And as well, I was tired all the time. I couldn't concentrate. So even though I was immersing and doing all this a crazy amount of time, I feel like a lot of that was just, I wasn't really absorbing anything. I was depressed all the time. It was terrible. And I switched to this year and the last 3 years, because I've been doing it for 4 years. That first one was shit as with how I approached it. The last 3, I've just been doing, eating healthy, sleeping right, exercising, all that. Just the difference it makes is insane. Right now I can concentrate and I can do 2 hours of immersion, right now, and that would have been equal to like 5 hours of immersion back then. It's such a difference, seriously. If you've never tried changing up and eating healthy and doing all that, you've got to give it a go. I really think you'll be amazed at the difference it makes, even with language learning. Now, the last thing, obviously, to do with health, you've got to be exercising as well. The last thing I want to talk about to do with health, though, is, of course, exercise. You got to be exercising. You don't need to be, training like an Olympic athlete or something, but, going for a run 3 times a week, going to the gym, doing some cardio work is important, getting outside, doing some exercise is going to benefit you so much, especially in the realm of your mental health, your concentration, motivation, and discipline. It's just going to make it go straight through the roof. Honestly, if you do all these 3 things, nutrition, sleep, and exercise, if you haven't been doing them up until now and you fix all that stuff, your immersion learning is just going to be so much better. Because at the end of the day, it's a biological process of memorizing things and learning a language. Yeah, it's mental and all of that, but it's still as biological as it is to build muscle. So you need to be supplementing your immersion and supplementing your learning with good nutrition, sleep, and exercise. As much as you want to ignore it, it's going to help it so much if you change up those things and optimize it. But yeah, that's just a little thing I've never really talked about too much in videos, and I just want to address that here. Now, the last thing, and this thing annoys me so much, is that when you're doing all this and when you're learning a language, you got to be focused on yourself, not other people. Like, for the people who are watching this who aren't in this whole, my Discord server and all these, community servers and all that on Discord, of all these different Japanese language learning schools of thought, you wouldn't realize. But in this whole language learning community on YouTube and all that, there's people that are put on a pedestal, and everything they do is completely judged and whatever. And these people are obsessed with all these different people in the community, whether that be me or someone else. Me, not so much, because, I reject all of that. But some other people in the community put up on a pedestal. Everyone looks at them, everyone judges them, whether it be, taking the piss out of them or being a big fan or anything like that. They become so obsessed with them. It's could you be more of a sad cunt than to be that obsessed with someone else who you've never met and you don't even know anything about? It's such a weird thing to me. You're so focused on these other people that you're not even addressing your own goals, and you're getting so sidetracked from the whole point of this. What are you even doing this for at that point? Stay focused on your own goals and stay focused on yourself and stay in your own lane and do your own thing. Don't be so obsessed with other people. Of course you can't get good in a language or in anything if you're going to be obsessed with everyone else more than you're obsessed with fulfilling your own goals. I feel like that should just be common sense, but it seems like it's not. So, at least with some people in this community. But yeah, anyway, that's it for this video. It's a little shorter than usual, I suppose, because I'm not talking about so much, content heavy things or different things to do with immersion, output or whatever. It's more of a general thing, in motivation and goal setting. So it's not such a big topic. But yeah, thanks for watching until the end. And I think there's only going to be 1 or 2, maybe 3 more parts of this masterclass series. So we're near into the end. So in the comments, let me know what kind of things you'd want to see on this channel from now on. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next episode of this, or whatever else I put out next. Please jump in the Discord. I know I say that every time. I promote it constantly. But there's so many good resources. We just hit 500 people on there. I know, not a huge amount, but still good. And everyone's suggesting YouTubers and, coming together as a group of people learning through natural sources and immersing in natural sources and putting together some good resources and everything. So please check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.